If I asked you what it was like to be in a burning oven, would you have an answer? Yes, if you are in Europe you may have an answer for sure. Some people say that here you can fry an egg without a stove. Here the present is also very severe. According to reports, more than 1,000 people have already died. 2 months ago, France experienced its hottest May on record, with some cities recording record highs. France was hit again last month by a spring heat wave that also affected Spain, Italy, and other countries. Then, this month Poland and other parts of Eastern Europe suffered from extreme heat. Wildfires are raging in many countries fueled by the heat, and much of the continent is mired in a prolonged drought. The current scorching temperatures that reached England and Wales on Monday were caused by a high-level low-pressure area that has been struck off the coast of Portugal for several days. Let's talk about a national park. The national park that stretches across California and Nevada can be hell on Earth. At 86 meters below sea level, it is the lowest point in North America, and the surrounding mountains trap the superheated air like an oven. There are also indications that changes in the Atlantic Meridian low returning circulation, one of the world's major ocean currents, may affect Europe's climate. Dr. Rousey published a paper last year using computer simulations to show that the weakening of the current as the world warms causes changes in atmospheric circulation that lead to drier summers in Europe. As in other parts of the world, a heat wave in Europe can increase the likelihood of others in the same region because a period of extreme heat dries out the soil. Why global warming is happening? Deforestation contributes to climate change in several ways. Forests are one of our most important natural carbon stores, so when forests are cut down, they lose their ability to store greenhouse gases. Burning trees releases even more carbon into the atmosphere. Forests are some of the best natural climate solutions we have on this planet. If we can slow or stop deforestation and manage the natural landscape so that it is healthy, we could achieve up to a third of the emissions reductions needed by 2030 to keep global temperatures from rising above 2 degrees centigrade, 3.6 degrees centigrade. After this, the main source is the smoke emitted by vehicles and industries. Excessive oxygen combustion and excessive carbon dioxide release can be pointed out by it. What happens with the increase in hot weather? Rising sea levels are the main threats of climate change arising from the warming of the Earth's atmosphere. Ecosystem collapse and loss of life can also occur. The warming of the atmosphere affects weather patterns, causing more frequent and severe storms and droughts across many global regions. Another result of this is forest fires. The forest fires have already started and caused a lot of damage. Higher temperatures are affecting the length of seasons, and in some places have already exceeded safe levels for ecosystems and people. Climate change is, directly and indirectly, stressing animals around the world. Many species are approaching or have already reached the limit of where they can find hospitable climates. In the polar regions, animals that live on polar ice such as polar bears are now struggling to survive as that ice melts. In both oceans and land, changes in temperature and humidity cause some species to migrate in search of new habitats. If we explore this effect further, melting snow can release old viruses and bacteria. Climate change is causing permafrost to melt, and estimates suggest that by 2100 the Arctic surface will lose up to 2/3 of its surface permafrost. Scientists estimate that by 2100, 2/3 of the Arctic's near surface permafrost could be lost. Yes, this can detect viruses and bacteria that have been separated for tens of thousands of years. In 2016, a 12-year-old boy died, and about 100 people fell ill from anthrax poisoning in an area of Siberia where there had been no outbreak for more than 70 years. Scientists think the outbreak was caused by anthrax spores released from a decades-old reindeer carcass, newly exposed by thawing permafrost. 1 gram of permafrost can contain thousands of dormant microbial species. The danger here is increased by the fact that the immunity of the people in the past has increased more than the people of today, because they always ate herbs, plants, and animals. As such, the impact may be amplified. How does this affect people? Your ability to survive in a hot climate is largely determined by your body shape and size. Because heat is a byproduct of cell metabolism, larger animals with larger bodies and more cells generally produce more heat. Dropping a few kilos or pounds can be a good idea to get in shape faster. Most people adapt to the heat after a few weeks, but it may take you a year to fully adjust. How global warming can be stopped? To avoid the worst effects of climate change, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, says we must reduce carbon emissions to a level where global warming will not exceed an additional 1.5 degrees centigrade, 3 degrees Fahrenheit. For that we must commit as a planet to reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050. You can be part of the climate change solution. First, calculate your carbon footprint and take the steps you can to reduce it. One of the simplest and most important things everyone can do is talk about climate change with family and friends. We know these conversations can seem like a recipe for discord and hard feelings, but it will enable you to socialize the impact of climate change and what can be done about it. To meet the goals of the 2015 Paris Agreement and avoid the worst climate change impacts, renewable energy needs to increase at least ninefold from where it is today. We have very little time to stop climate change. The truth is that there is no hard and fast time frame for climate action versus inaction. Some studies and articles suggest that if we do not make significant progress toward decarbonization, reducing carbon from the atmosphere and replacing fossil fuels in our economies by 2030, we could face catastrophic climate impacts that will overwhelm our communities and threaten the survival of certain ecosystems. However, you have many ideas about this. Share it with us. The comments section below is for that.